Sport inspires greatness. It creates enduring heroes, revered and richly rewarded for their exploits. But that in turn can create pressure and the temptation to bend the rules.
Panicked and thought he could get away with it.
So what goes down as the greatest sports cheating scandal of all time? Ask anyone to pick the greatest cheating scandal in sport, and most fans would either say it's this guy.
I view this situation as one big lie.
Or this guy.
I don't have any regrets. I mean, the IAF, you know, they took away all my world records and everything away from me, but they haven't taken away anything from me.
Those who support gender equality in sport might nominate this gal.
I have let my country down, and I have let myself down.
But here's the thing about Lance Armstrong, Ben Johnson, Marion Jones, and the countless number of drug cheats like them. They are hardly evil masterminds. More delusional than clever, they got away with cheating for a while and reaped great benefit. But it doesn't take great ingenuity to take illegal drugs. All they did was lie constantly, and then when finally confronted with irrefutable evidence, confessed. Armstrong with the same arrogance he displayed throughout his denials.
7 times in a row.
Not in my opinion.
Johnson with belligerence.
I don't make it a big problem of issue of my life to move forward.
Jones with regret.
This was an incredibly stupid thing for me to do.
Well, regret she got caught anyway. The greatest cheating scandals in sport can't just be about drugs. There are too many examples, from the high-profile individuals to the state-sponsored programs of East Germany and Russia. What's more interesting is the ingenuity, the corruption, the drama, and the life-shattering tragedy that has come with some of the other great cheating scandals in sports history. Baseball, America's national pastime. Fitting then that the first explosion of corruption in any mainstream sport would come on the ballparks of 1919, the year the Chicago White Sox threw the World Series.
Here are actual films of
8 players were banned for life after several of them admitted handing the series to the Cincinnati Reds in exchange for money from a gambling syndicate.
Something wasn't right, and thousands mourned the proof that baseball wasn't fully honest. Testimony of pitcher Edward Cicotti is said to have been most incriminating evidence. And when, after the famed White Sox fielder Shoeless Joe Jackson confessed his guilt, it's said that one weeping fan of his cried out, "Say it isn't so."
"Say it ain't so, Joe" became a famous quote. Trouble was, Shoeless Joe, Chicago's best player, at first admitted it was so. And then he recanted his confession and said it wasn't so. The extent of Jackson's involvement has always been a hot topic, but there is little doubt prominent members of the team did indeed throw the series. Apparently, out of dislike for the White Sox club owner, Charles Comiskey, who didn't pay them what they thought they were worth. Gambling has since impacted on the integrity of probably every professional sport to some degree. But none has cut at a nation's heart deeper than Hansi Cronje's betrayal of South African cricket. Cronje was the beloved captain who sold out to bookmakers, tried to recruit other, younger players into match fixing, initially tried to deny his guilt, And then, even when admitting it, consistently downplayed the appalling extent of his dishonesty.
I misled the United Cricket Board of South Africa and members of the South African government and those who tried to defend me. I also withheld facts from my legal representatives.
Kronya was eventually trapped by Indian police in April 2000 when his phone calls with a bookmaker were recorded. The funny thing was, even after his lies were exposed and his 70 hidden bank accounts revealed, the people of South Africa seemed to forgive him. The nation mourned when Kronya died at 32 in a plane crash in 2002. Teammates speaking to his character and his family defending his honor.
We have come to pay respects to Hansie Kronya, an outstanding leader, an accomplished cricketer and friend.
I wanted to tell the world. I wanted to shout it out. I wanted to explain to people that even though Hansie made a mistake, he was still the same Hansie, a kind and loving husband, a genuine friend, and an honorable man.
Kronya's criminality means some will always view his plane crash with suspicion. The only certain thing in this whole mess is that it shone a light in some of cricket's dark places, uncovering numerous other examples of match fixing in cricket competitions around the world. But not every sports cheating scandal involves the competitors. Frequently, they are the innocent victims of corruption. Roy Jones Jr. won world championship belts in 4 divisions from middleweight to heavyweight. He's the only fighter to start as a junior middleweight and win the world heavyweight crown. But it was as an amateur that he was involved in one of the greatest judging scandals of all time. Jones was cheated out of the light middleweight gold medal at the Seoul Olympic Games of 1988.
Ladies and gentlemen.
But although defeat spurred him onto his famous professional boxing career, what makes this story so interesting was that the real victim was the winner. South Korean Park Si-hoon was so shamed by his undeserved victory that it almost ruined his life. Cursed by gold, robbed of silver.
그런 생각도 손만 내 손만 안 올랐으면 그런 생각을 해요. 그냥 내 손만 올라가 2등만 했어도 좀 내가 삶을 멋있게 살아갈 건데 참 사람은 또 올림픽 꼭 금메달도 중요하지만 올림픽 메달 땄다는 것만 그것만 해도 얼마나 만족스럽고 영광스럽습니까? 내가 들고 싶어서 손을 들은 것도 아닌데 손이 올라가고 그 이후로 내 삶이란 것은 많이 침울해진 거죠. 그 트라우마가 아직까지 늘.
The 5-man judging panel gave the fight to Park 3 votes to 2, despite statistics of punches thrown and landed showing a massive advantage to the American, who found his target 86 times to 32, and despite the Korean being given a standing 8 count by the referee. When the decision was announced, Park lifted Jones in the air, and at the medal ceremony, even raised the American's hand to indicate his embarrassment.
이제 선수는 게임을 하고 나면 자기가 이겼다 졌다를 알 수 있잖아요, 그죠? 이제 뭐 사실 그 게임에서 제가 이기지 못하는 시합을 했으니까 나는 졌다고 생각하고 있습니다. 근데 갑자기 내 손이 올라가니까 나도 당황스럽더라고요. 그래서 나도 모르게 이제 이렇게 손이 올라가가지고 뭐 참 올림픽 금메달 따면 기뻐하고 좋아하고 막 발달발 뛰고 해야 되는데 사실 나는 그런 액션을 취할 수가 없었어요. 손이 나는 졌다고 생각했는데 내 손이 올라가는데 저도.
The 3 judges who voted for the South Korean were later suspended, and the scoring system was forever changed. In a telling condemnation of the decision, the International Boxing Association awarded its Barker Medal for the best fighter across all divisions at the Seoul Games to Jones. Jones has always said he holds no grudge against Park, and that his bitter disappointment at the loss helped inspire him to one of boxing's all-time great careers. But despite the fame and riches that came his way, he has never stopped campaigning for the decision to be overturned. In 1996, the US Olympic Committee called for a review after East German secret police documents revealed evidence of judges being paid to vote for South Korean boxers at the Seoul Games. An IOC investigation in 1997 found the offending judges had been wined and dined by South Korean organizers, but said there was no evidence of corruption and no grounds to hand Jones a gold medal. Instead, they gave him an award known as the Olympic Order in honor of his contribution to the Olympic movement. Yeah, right. Jones probably got the kiss off because, let's face it, judging scandals are a dime a dozen in boxing. But when it happens in figure skating, well, that's enough to put anyone in a spin. Figure skating is such a graceful sport, with its triple toe loops, double axels, spins, splits, and spirals. But at Salt Lake City and the 2002 Winter Olympics, you can add standover tactics, corruption, bribery, and the Russian mob. The figure skating pairs final was such a tawdry affair that the IOC finished up taking the extraordinary step of overturning the result. Russian pair Elena Berezhnaya and Anton Sigalidze initially won gold ahead of Canadian favorites Jamie Salé and David Pelletier. Controversy erupted because the Canadians had a flawless routine in the free program, while the Russians appeared to falter at some of theirs. Salé and Pelletier gave a breathtaking display and looked supremely confident of victory afterwards, until they discovered the judges had failed to deliver enough points to catch the Russians. With rumors flying about a dodgy deal, one of the judges, Marie-Reine Laguna, was confronted in her hotel lobby by skating's technical director. Laguna broke down in tears, saying she had been pressured by the head of the French delegation, Didier Galiguet, to score for the Russians as part of a deal to secure French gold in a later event. It's claimed she repeated the allegation the next day, but then later retracted it all.
First of all, I want to say that I have judged with my soul and my conscience. And when I have decided to have the Russian couple on the first place, I was quite aware at that moment, I am still aware of that they were the best that night.
After an International Skating Union meeting, IOC President Jacques Rogge made it clear they weren't buying Laguna's new story.
We received an official proposal from the International Skating Union to award a gold medal to Salé and Pelletier. The executive board of the IOC agreed, and a gold medal will be awarded to the Canadian pair.
Scoring reforms were later unveiled in a bid to restore credibility to the sport. Laguna and Galiguet were eventually banned from the 2006 Turin Games and suspended from the sport for 3 years. A Russian businessman, Alimjan Toktakhanov, was arrested by Italian police under an FBI warrant for his alleged involvement in the scandal. But he won a court bid to quash an extradition order and lives openly in Russia. The good thing about the whole mess, though, was that the athletes were looked after. When the Canadian pair were elevated to gold, the Russian pair were also able to keep their gold medals. In a special ceremony, all four shared the top step of the podium, and both pairs made it clear the scandal was about judging, not performance.
This is not about us and Anton and Elena. Don't create a situation that doesn't exist. This is not about me and him or us and them. This is about us getting a fair chance to be judged fairly.
I'm not going to feel awkward. Again, we didn't do anything wrong. They didn't do anything wrong. This is not about the skaters.
Russian skater Sigaladze had an interesting perspective.
Олимпиада большой праздник, веселый, плюс столько скандалов, мне кажется, что это здорово. Потому что народ смотрел Олимпиаду. Если бы все проходило очень гладко, никто бы не смотрел. Не было бы интереса такого. А сейчас здорово.
Да, мы сейчас их отвезем в аэропорт.
Sigaladze may have had a point about scandals promoting interest with the public. How else do you explain 400 members of the media turning up for a practice session of figure skating at the 1994 Lillehammer Winter Olympics when American rivals Tonya Harding and Nancy Kerrigan appeared on the ice together? The interest was created when Harding's ex-husband, Jeff Gillooly, and his cronies literally put the hammer into Lillehammer by orchestrating an attack on Kerrigan to prevent her gaining selection for the Olympics. Kerrigan, the bronze medalist from the 1992 Olympics, was injured in the attack with a police baton, but recovered in time to compete in Lillehammer. Harding was also allowed to compete pending a full inquiry, but let's just say the atmosphere between the two teammates was icy. Kerrigan won the silver medal, but Harding could only finish 8th. She later denied involvement in the attack, but admitted to hindering the investigations and was banned from figure skating for life.
I had no prior knowledge of the planned assault on Nancy Kerrigan. I am responsible, however, for failing to report things I learned about the assault when I returned home from Nationals.
Harding later became a professional boxer, won season 16 of Worst Cooks in America, and had a movie made of her life starring Margot Robbie. Yep, there's no such thing as bad publicity.
From the moment of the whack heard around the world on January 6, 1994, everything changed. People were talking about figure skating at the water cooler. Men with cigars in their hands were talking about figure skating at poker games. It became mainstream.
Born from centuries of combat, but more artistic than brutal, fencing is a sport defined by its classic imagery. Long, lithe bodies, almost anonymous inside their sleek Kevlar uniforms and wire masks. Traditionally a European sport, an upper-class sport, its competitors pride themselves on their style, honor, and sportsmanship. In the early years, judges had to rule on whether a hit had been made, and the fencers would frequently assist by calling hits on themselves. Until 1933, when technology enabled the introduction of electrical scoring apparatus, with lights indicating when hits on an opponent's scoring area had been attained. And that would lead, 4 decades on at the 1976 Montreal Olympics, to the greatest sports cheating scandal of all time by Soviet Union athlete Boris Onyshchenko in the modern pentathlon. Fencing is one of 5 disciplines contained within the modern pentathlon. The sport devised by Baron Pierre de Coubertin, the founder of the modern Olympics. These days, it's a one-day event involving épée fencing, a 200-meter swim, equestrian show jumping, pistol shooting, and a 3-kilometer run. But back in 1976 at the Montreal Olympics, it was spread over 5 days, grueling on athletes and spectators alike, and virtually ignored by mainstream media. It seemed the only time it made headlines was whenever something went wrong. Like 1968 at the Mexico City Olympics, when Swedish competitor Hans-Gunnar Liljenvall decided the best way to cure his nerves before the pistol shooting was to down a couple of beers. Thus, Liljenvall became the first athlete to ever be disqualified under IOC anti-doping regulations, and the Swedish team was stripped of their bronze medals. Ironically, winning the silver medal in that team event was the Soviet Union, featuring Ukrainian Boris Onyshchenko, who would go on to greater success. Part of the Olympic gold medal winning Soviet team in 1972, with silver in the individual event and also claiming 5 world championships. But after a couple of mysterious incidents in Montreal, when his épée electronics registered a couple of dubious touches, Great Britain's Jim Fox requested Onyshchenko's weapon be examined. Fox and Onyshchenko were both military men and good friends, so Fox assumed the sword's equipment was merely faulty. Until an examination revealed Onyshchenko had altered the wiring in his weapon to enable him to register a touch at will.
What happened was it was found that these 2 wires here that are insulated and have to be all the way up to the plug, they were being tampered with, and apparently he had something on his finger where he could close the 2 weapons, and this would cause the light to come on.
Great Britain went on to win gold, and Fox and his team returned home heroes. Onyshchenko was thrown out of Montreal, thrown out of the sport, and stripped of his rank of captain in the Interior Ministry. He became a taxi driver in Kiev and would never explain the reason for his actions. Certainly, Jim Fox was perplexed.
I don't know, he just panicked and thought he could get away with it.
Of course, he didn't get away with it. And his biggest punishment came not from the Soviet Union, but the London press. The British media branded him for life with a clever play on words. Boris Onyshchenko became Dishonyshchenko, responsible for sport's greatest cheating scandal of all time.